Urmlaspyr series. This is Urmlaspyr 1 Dark Deeds, if you're keeping track of it on your stuff. We have a lot of new players, so I'm going to go ahead and set the adventure level to AL6. For those of you guys that are very new, I want to go over a couple of things first. The first thing I want to say is the adventure level is normally set by the players at the beginning of the adventure, and almost always the adventure level is an even number. If you're level 5 and you're saying, oh, well, I'm only a 5, I can't play in a 6, no, don't worry about that sort of stuff. It means that the average level of the party is about 6, and if you guys are playing low, there's ways the DM can also adjust it to make sure that people don't get murdered in the adventure. So if like a whole group of level 11s are playing in a 12, it's easy to switch that. It's easy to kind of massage the numbers if the DM is aware of what's going on. But playing at different levels will change how your experience works, change the monsters, all that sort of stuff. So we're going to be playing AL6 today. The second thing is that when you see a session coming on the upcoming sessions thread, you want to check and see what day it is, what time it is, what level it is, and then what voice chat is being used. I almost exclusively use TeamSpeak because I like being able to change people's volumes and mute people and use that other sort of stuff that Skype does not allow. Ryan uses Discord, and Mash uses TeamSpeak as well, and I think that's pretty much it. It's one of those three. I think all the other people that used other stuff stopped running stuff. So keep in mind that that is something that you might need. The Discord thing is something that will be posted just like the TeamSpeak thing on the thread saying, hey, we're going to be using this for voice. If you don't see anything or the initial thread doesn't say anything, assume that it's going to be Skype. The last thing is that when you look for adventures, there's going to be 3 different labels on the adventures. Either it is going to be unlabeled, which is most adventures, which means that there's going to be an equal mix, or there is going to be a healthy mix of both roleplay, sort of investigation, and combat. If you see it, something is marked with a little tag in brackets that says arena, that means that it is going to be a heavily combat-focused game. You don't really need to worry about a lot of the roleplay stuff. You can still roleplay in the adventure, but the focus is going to be on nitty-gritty combat and, you know, getting down and dirty and fighting a lot. The other side of that coin is narrative, which is what this session is going to be. So this session is going to be primarily focused on the story, on figuring stuff out, on some sort of investigation. Now that doesn't mean that there's no combat in the adventure. And even in adventures that are arena, there's going to be roleplay stuff that you can do. If there are adventures that are narrative, there's going to be combat stuff you can do. The idea is that the focus of today's adventure will be on what's going on. It's going to be the combat stuff. It is the first session that has been run with the narrative tag being introduced, although this session has been played multiple times before, and if the narrative tag did exist previously, it would have been applied to the session. So, especially for the new people, does anyone have any questions about either narrative stuff or any other guild questions before we go ahead and get started with today's adventure?
I have a question for the narrative session. Time and how we handle roles is going to be a little bit different than we usually do, because we're not going to be usually in initiative order. Is that correct?
You will frequently be in initiative order. The one big difference is that it's not going to be combat initiative, so it's not going to be as mechanically restricted to you get a stand back.
Okay, thank you.
So how are those walls going and being vacuumed well, Lee?
Is everything okay?
I think Lee is drowning or something. But Lee, if you could mute your mic when you're not talking, I would appreciate it, because the vacuum is pretty loud. So,
and also, are you okay? You sounded...
Well, Lee, I'm going to put you last on the group for introductions. So a lot of these people are people that I have not seen before, so let's go ahead and get some introductions going. I need to know who your character is, kind of what they look like, that sort of stuff, why your character is an adventurer, why did you join the guild? It's for mostly low-level players. And then at the end of that, give us a brief mechanical description of who your guy is. So like, you're a shaman, you're a warlord, whatever. So, Philion, you're first.
Alright, Philane is... Well, he started adventuring recently because his Aunt Lilith recommended he get out and see the world. He'd spent most of his life growing up in the woods with his mother, who is a witch, and going back and forth with his archdevil father on the weekends, ends in visiting his Fey Lord Uncle. Well, every now and then, his family situation is very complicated. But yeah, his Aunt Lilith recommended he get out and see the world, do some adventuring, and make his own path. Athen, she's a smart lady. So she bought him a new coat from that merchant who came by recently, and he joined the guild. Physically, the token that I have is actually a commissioned piece of art for him. And so black coat, dark wooden staff with a little incendiary orb on the top. A necklace with a tree of life symbol on it, made of silver, or a dagger at his side, white hair, messy. Generally a fairly attractive individual. Mechanically, he's a tiefling warlock. I'm honestly more focused around control than striking, but being a warlock, I have striking anyways. But like, I'll throw out Witchfire for debuffs, I'll throw around slides and whatever debuffs I was able to get my hands on.
Cool. Bluebell, you're next.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, sorry. So essentially, Bluebell doesn't really not much to say. She's your typical mercenary who's sort of just seeking out to get the most out of life. As for appearance, she's essentially just your typical pixie, other than the blue skin.
Is she literally a manic pixie dream girl? Because that would be kind of funny.
Kind of. But up the aggression by about 11.
Gotcha.
And as for mechanically, essentially she is trying to go for a nice mix of defender and striker, but a little more focus on getting the enemies to target her and then punishing.
Sounds good. All right, Joanne, you're next.
Okay. Joanne is a sort of monk. She trained at a temple dedicated to the goddess Yun, and so her main chapter, her focus is to study all combat in the world, get the knowledge of all the world's fighting styles, and study them. And so, but she really wasn't one. It also focused on schoolwork and stuff because they wanted to have a well-rounded individual who knows everything. But she's kind of a slacker when it came to schoolwork, so she always focused on her training, and she quickly passed her peers in that aspect, which made them more frustrated because she never spent the time to actually dig into the theory. She's more of a feel type person. So eventually it came to a point where she learned what she could as a student, and everyone's rite of passage is to go out into the world and gather as much knowledge as they can. Her teacher, Hanoka, told her, look, if you want, you could go to the guild. I know it's the perfect personality for you, and whatever you find out there from your adventures, I want you to bring them back to me. And so she joined the guild, and mostly to get a good fight, but hopefully to impress her master and go into her grandmaster training. Mechanically, she's a ranger cleric, so she's pretty versatile. I mainly made her focus on trying to be the defender's best friend, so chill with the defender, make sure they proc the mark and hit them while spamming some twin strikes and putting some attack debuffs. And that's the character.
All right. Next is Sparks.
Yeah, okay. Sparks is he is the son of the vestige of an elemental primordial. He was given in exchange for the souls of two nobles to them as a son, but as he grew older, his biological mother started trying to exert more and more influence on him and grant him more and more power. And so he decided to leave with the goal of finding a sword that could sever, or a blade, I guess, to sever the connection between himself and his mother, hopefully retaining all of his power in the meantime. That is the reason why he sought out the guild, because after all, when you're searching for something, you may as well cast the net on as many planes as possible. And so, in appearance, he's got pale white skin, with sort of white, very angular hair, I guess. It's not messy. It's just, I imagine it like a lightning bolt. I suppose he's got kind of the hair of all of the characters in Yu-Gi-Oh, although that wasn't my intention when building this character. Oh yes, mechanically he is a warlock. He's more of a striker that dabbles in control as opposed to more of a controller that is a striker incidentally. So that totally distinguishes me from the other warlock in the party. Hopefully we can get some silly chains synergy going. I think I answered all of your bullet points, Gary. Is there anything else I should be saying?
Nope, that's it. Hell yeah, you're up.
Okay. Hey everyone, my character's Helia. She is a shield dwarf from a shield dwarf tribe. She was a member of a shamanic order of protectors that would help fight the enemies of her clan, but she has currently been released from service to wander the world and gain experience and the wisdom of the world spirits. And so she figured the guild would be a great way to do that, especially traveling the plains and whatnot. Mechanically, shield dwarf, protector shaman. I focus a lot on healing and giving defensive buffs. I hand out damage resist. If you're asking for an attack bonus, you probably want to find a different leader or someone to give you free attacks, because I don't do that sort of thing.
She has heals for days. Literal days.
All right, Lee, you're next.
Don't mind the vacuum in the background.
Are you okay?
We can't hear you at all.
Oh my gosh.
That is a really loud vacuum.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
No, like you cannot talk about podcast, but
Oh boy. I'll type.
So, since she is going to be typing for a second and I need to take a quick break, go ahead and get water or whatever you need to do, go to the bathroom, that sort of stuff, and then we'll get started back in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to pause the stream. Apologies for having to
Then,
take
sir.
a break, so I'll be right back.